Okay, I'm going to do a blog post here for the Paper Room Interiors website. What we need to do, I'll just move this window out of the way. Once you're inside the dashboard in the back of your site, look for posts over here on the left hand side. It's going to be a new post, so we click on Add New. Now, the way that Sarah's posts are a little bit different than you'll see on the majority of blogs. She tends to have the images centralized, which, to be perfectly honest, is the best way. The images are big and centralized. If you actually have the images to the left or to the right, what you're going to find with these blog posts is if the image is too small on a mobile, a small image may take up about 3/4 of that width on the mobile screen, and you're going to have little bits of words of text shoved over to one side. So on a blog post, I'd always recommend to centralize them. It looks better with Sarah's because they are actually big images too. Right. So here we are with a new post page. Oh, also I should mention, I tend to work in the back on one tab in the browser, and on another tab in the browser I actually have the page that I'm working on, so that every time I make a change in the back I can refresh it here and actually see the changes. This is a new post, so it will be starting from scratch. Now, how people present these to me, and it may be how you work yourself, is on a Word document. When images are embedded in Word documents, they're a bit of a pain, because what I've got to do before I do anything, I can see where they're going to be laid out and all of that. I've actually got to take them off of the blog post, off of the Word document, sorry, as preparation, take them into an image editor, save them, and then I've actually got the images to take over. Now, with a couple of these, Sarah actually wanted them enlarged, but I can't do that because when you enlarge an image manually like this or in an image editor, it will actually go blurry. So for now, I'm going to work with them at the sizes that they are in this Word document. So I'll do that first, pause the video while I actually get the images ready. Okay, I've redone all the images, so I'm ready to start. So at the top of the page of Add the New Post is where you put the title of the post, which in this case, I'll just copy and paste from the Word document, is Sarah Beanie's Design Rules. So I go back to my WordPress and paste that in as the title. You'll see a purple button there. Although we use the Divi Builder for the pages of the site, we don't use it for the posts. It's just because it's much easier for people who aren't familiar with editing WordPress sites to just use it as is. You've got two options with this box. You can either work in text, which I'm on at the moment, or you can work in visual. I tend to switch between the two, but I do the majority of stuff normally within the text. The main reason being the visual is supposed to be what you see is what you get, but it actually isn't always. So you can end up with all kinds of weird formatting. But sometimes it's handy to swap between the two. You don't have to follow the way that I'm doing it, but I always work in the text. So I'll go back to that one. Right, so first thing I'll do is put the first block of text there before we get to the image. Okay, so I copy and paste that. Put that into the block and look at it as if you're working on a Word document. So where you've actually finished the text there, press enter on your keyboard twice just to bring you down here, and that's where we're going to put the first image. Up here you'll see Add Media. Click on that button and it will open up what's called your media library. Now I haven't uploaded the images for this one yet, so what I do is up here you've got two tabs. One is Media Library, the other is Upload Files. So I upload files from my computer, use the button here, Select Files, which takes you down to your computer, and here I've made a folder for these images for this post, Sarah 1. I'm actually going to upload all of them at once, so they're done. Let's just do that. Takes a little while, as you'll see the progress of each image appearing in the media library. And they've all got ticks on at the moment. But we only want to use one image, so once they're all uploaded, I'll just click on the one that I want, which is that one there. Over here on the right hand side, you'll actually see you've got something called title and something called alt text. Those are things that go behind the scenes, built-in code that only Google can see. It's worth doing, as I won't for this, but it's sort of a description of the image or perhaps the post. So I don't know, I'll put Sarah Beanie for now. I think that's how you spell it. Let me check. No, there's an E. Sarah Beanie. I tend to put the same for the alt text as I put in the title. Okay, down here we've got display settings. It's actually on the one that I want, which is center and at full size. You can change that to left and you can change it to right. You can change the size from full size to medium to thumbnail. You'll see there though that medium is a very small image. It's 300 by 169, and that's what causes problems on posts when they're actually on a mobile screen. Let's say your mobile screen is 450 pixels wide. Well, that image is going to take 300. So some of the text on your page will generally, if you've right aligned it, try to squash in to that. So it's better to use full size and center. It's not linking to anywhere, so that's on none. And then you just click Insert into Post. And what you'll see there is a line of code. If we swap over to the visual, you'll actually see it there. Go back to the text. When you do work in visual, always go back to the text when you're finished to save something. Again, it helps with the formatting because, again, when I've worked in visual myself, it doesn't always format the way that you want. Anyway, so at the end of that line of code for the image, click enter twice again just to bring you down there to put the next bit of text in. And here we've actually got a link which I'll copy and paste. Now I know from doing other blog posts of Sarah's that that's going to be a link to the site where the image is from. So highlight the whole thing. Up here you'll see a little box called link. Click on that. It's picked it up because it is a URL anyway, a domain address. It doesn't always pick that up, so you might have to do that yourself. But if it's written out in the text as a web page address, it generally picks that up. You've got a box here that says open the link in a new tab. Always click that, because otherwise they leave your site, because the new site that they're going to look at will open up over your page, and it's better to send them off to that on another page. Add link. The other thing that Sarah does with these links is to have them centered. Now to do that, it is better for me to go to the visual, because visual has got options up here for align left, align center, align right. So highlight that link, go up here, align center, and then I switch over to text and publish. Right, something I should have mentioned too is further down on the right hand side, before I saved it, doesn't matter actually, you can do it afterwards, you've got your categories. Now this one is going in the category of Spotlight. Also further down you've got Set Featured Image. Now that's the image that's going to appear on the little excerpts that you see. I'll show you where they are. If we go to the front of Sarah's site, on the blog page, the main blog page where all the excerpts are, that's a featured image there. It's part of the excerpt that gets displayed. Okay, so to set that featured image, you click on that, it takes you to the media library. I'm just going to use that first image. Sarah may change that afterwards. You don't need to do any adjustments here because it's not actually appearing on the page, it's appearing as the excerpt. And down here, click on the green button that now says Set Featured Image, and it will show you there. There's also a box here for excerpt. So again, on the front of the site, we've got, what it does is it will pick up the first lines of text on your page. If you want to change that to something that you want, then you put that in the excerpt box. Don't put any more than sort of, I don't know, there's about 15 words perhaps there. Don't do anything more than that because it'll send it out of sync really. But I'm going to leave that for the moment because I've already set it to pick up on a certain amount of characters in the text. Right, so update again. Now what you'll see, if we go to the blog, main blog page on the front of the site, refresh that page, and even though that post hasn't finished, oh, you'll see what I mean about the excerpt. So okay, I'll set an excerpt in a minute, probably just there. Right, go down to the excerpt, I'll put that text as what I want. Always go over to the right and update whenever you've made a change or an addition. As soon as that page is saved, which it has, go back to the main blog page, refresh, and it's just picked up on that text only. Sometimes you'll see that it's not orderly in the length of the excerpt pieces, and that's purely down to the amount of words that you've got as the title. If you've got a load of words in the title, that would actually be 3 rows going across, so that would be even further down. But most people accept this and expect it in blogs, to be honest. If we actually look at the page, post, Sarah Beanie's design rules, we'll see what we've done up till now. Right, and you'll see the text centered for the link, which when you click on will open in another tab, but it's starting to come together. I'll pause this here, do a little bit more as I work down the page rather than you'd have to watch all of it, and then you can see how it's edited. One thing very quickly that's worth mentioning on this site particularly is Sarah actually has mini headings as you go down the page, which, for instance, this one here, number 1, if budget is tight, do one thing really well. Now, because I know the code for, it's called an H4 heading for this, which there are a number of different heading types, heading H1, H2, H3, H4 being the predominant ones. Because H1 is too big, we've just used H4 throughout her site, so that's what we'll do. If you don't know code yourself, the best thing again to do then is to switch over to the visual, highlight that, it's already highlighted. Up here you'll see it's paragraph text at the moment. Just go down, make that H4. It's actually done all of them, so that may not be such a bright idea. done all of the text rather. 1 second. Okay, if that's going to happen, then it's one of the reasons I hate using that visual. It's better to actually put that code in yourself, or just make it bold on most sites. But with this one, we've stuck to a pattern, so let's do that. Okay, so how you write the code for this is at the beginning of the title, just before the number 1, you put your cursor, one of those triangles that is just above the comma, and you put H4, small h, 4, and a closing triangle at the end. Go to the end of that title or sentence, pretty much do exactly the same, but before the H4 you put a / and a closing triangle, and that is actually going to make that title into an H4. I'll just update it so you can see. I'll have a look at the post in the other tab that's open. Right, so if I refresh that, as you scroll down, you'll see the text, and that's what an H4 looks like, which is what we've done throughout this site. So we'll keep doing that. Get back to editing, and I'll finish off the page. Okay, that's the blog pretty much finished. As you see, there's all the content. If you have a look in the visual box, you can actually see the images and the layout better. Always go back to the text box, as I said, when you finish something, to actually save the post and update that there. Something I didn't mention, which is
handy for some people. Underneath publish, you'll see status published. While you're working on something, if you don't want it to be visible, you could change that very simply to draft, and that way nobody else can see it, but it's published now, so we're fine with that. The other thing that you can do is you can actually change the date. So let's say we put 3 blog posts on the same day. Clicking on edit here, we can actually stagger them out, put them on different dates, so it doesn't look like you've just gone ahead and done everything at once. And that's basically the post. We have a look on the front in the other tab that I've got. Refresh the page or post, and there's the whole thing. Okay.